Edna? Edna! Edna?
Edna.
Edna, you know, when the wife and I bought the house, we didn't realize till we moved in last week that there'd be all that noise reverberating off the dunes from those vehicles. What? You don't get any peace or quiet. Isn't there something can be done about that?
You know, I've lived here so many years, I don't even notice the noise anymore. But I've got to admit, there's an extra loud one out there today.
Look, would you do me a favor? Our phone isn't hooked up yet. Could you call in a complaint?
Well, sure, I'll call the sheriff for you.
Coos County Dispatch, this is Ann.
There are some noisy riders on the dunes out by my house. I've got a new neighbor and they're really bothering him. Isn't there a law against that?
Why, yes, the decibel level for the dunes is 93 dB. We'll have an officer come out right away.
Tabby, I'll respond to the area and check that call.
Why am I being stopped? I wasn't doing anything wrong.
I had a report of a loud ATV in the area, and you appear to be the one.
I don't understand. I've been coming here for years and ride with no problems.
The complaint came from a resident on a hill nearby. The sound of an ATV can be very annoying to some people. In fact, there are some people that would like to see this recreation go away altogether.
How could someone hear the noise I'm making out here? There ain't nothing out here but sand.
Sound reproducing can be compared to the ripples on a pond. They spread out uniformly in all directions. If there's anything blocking them, they stop. But if not, they carry on and go and go and go. Just like the sound of an off-road vehicle. The wind can pick that sound up and carry it for miles.
I don't understand. I lost track of my friends and I couldn't hear a thing.
You had sound blocking between you and your friends. You're on one side of the dune, they're on the other. You're not going to hear them. Just like if you're out riding in the trees muffle the sound of your ATV. But if you're on top of the dune and there's nothing between your bike and a house over on the hill,
they're going to hear you loud and clear. Why don't you put the rear tire down in the sand, you start it up, and leave the motor running. That's great. That'll be perfect.
What are those for?
It's a decibel meter and a tachometer used to measure the sound made by your machine. Vehicle sound is measured by a decibel meter 20 inches and 45 degrees from the exhaust outlet. The sound limit in Oregon is 99 decibels for recreational vehicles, but the Oregon Dunes National Recreation Area, which is administered by the federal government, has set a noise limit of 93 decibels. Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to write you a citation.
Oh man, can you give me a break?
Well, if you'll go out and buy a silencer that meets the noise level requirement for this area, or you repack your silencer, the ticket will be dismissed.
Repack my silencer? How do I do that?
Well, I'm about to get off duty, so if you want to follow me to town, maybe I can introduce you to somebody who'll show you how to repack your silencer.
Sure, let me drop off my bike.
How's it going?
pretty good. The reason I stopped by today was to see if somebody here in the shop
had time to show him how to repack his silencer.
Yeah, I think we can do that. In fact, Arlen Lehman's here. He's got his dyno up. They've been working on some new products.
Arlen Lehman, isn't he the owner of LRD Performance?
Yeah, actually, they've won over 17 national titles. Hang tight, I'll be right back with you. Hey Arlen, this is Jason. You suppose you got a moment to show him how to repack a silencer real quick?
Yes, I do. I'm pleased to meet you, Jason. Generally, we need to repack a silencer every 8 to 10 hours for best performance.
So why does the packing go bad so fast?
Well, if you'd like to step over to this table, I have a display here that explains what happens to a silencer after it runs for a while. This is an old silencer that's not been properly maintained, and you can tell that a lot of the packing is missing. The packing here has got a lot of oil deposits on it. This is a 2-cycle engine, premix oil and the heat, and just the exhaust pressure has blown packing clear out of it. A silencer that's been properly packed is going to look like this. As you notice, all the voids are filled with fiberglass packing. One of the important things to remember when you pack a silencer is the fiberglass particles are not good to get in your lungs. Always use some kind of a non-toxic particle mask to protect your lungs. I would suggest that you wear some kind of protective gloves as well. It's not pleasant to get the fiberglass particles in your fingers either. First, you remove the bolts, screws, or rivets holding the silencer core. You can use a plastic mallet to remove the core from the silencer body. Take the fiberglass material and wrap it around the silencer core. You can hold that in place by using masking tape, and that compresses the packing and holds it in place so that you can slide it into the silencer body and either pop rivet it back in or screw it back in depending on the type of silencer that you have. It's not a bad idea to seal the end cap with some kind of a silicone seal so that you don't get any leakage around the end cap. And that will give you a nicely sealed up silencer that will be significantly quieter.
So what if I get water in my silencer?
Well, if you get water in your silencer, it will be a lot like getting oil in the silencer. It will change its ability to dampen out sound. So what we suggest, if you're using a silencer like this one here, you really must use some kind of a plug to keep the moisture out when you're washing the machine. I would suggest always using this just as a safety precaution because, again, water getting inside the silencer will damage the packing. It'll rust out the core. You want to avoid getting any water in that area if at all possible.
So if a silencer is U.S. Forest Service approved, it's okay?
Well, if it says it's U.S. Forest Service approved, it means that it's spark arrested. It doesn't mean that it will meet the dB level in the dunes area.
Most places require a spark arrestor if you're riding in the woods. This is a competition silencer or racing silencer, and as you can tell, it's all straight through. It has a straight through tailpipe core all the way to the outlet.
That's like the one on my RM250.
Yes, this is the type of muffler that comes on that type of a motorcycle. These kind of competition machines, if the silencer is properly packed, will run from 95 to 99 decibels.
Jason, if that's a silencer you have on your bike, there's no way to meet the 93 dB level. I'll run up front and get some equipment you're going to need.
Okay, about the loud part. I thought my bike was really loud and make more power.
Well, in some cases that's true. In the case of your bike, which is a 2-stroke, making it louder does not necessarily make more horsepower. If you'd step over here, we can show you on the dyno exactly what happens when you do that. Represents how much horsepower the machine is making through the RPM range. So we started our run at 3,000 RPM and we carried it on to almost 10,000 RPM. And this is the type of horsepower it made. This is a good silencer, this is a packed silencer, and as you can tell the machine made about 63 horsepower at the peak. Okay, now we're going to switch silencers and we're going to put a silencer on that's had the packing blown out of it that needs to be serviced, and we'll see how closely we can duplicate this run. Okay, Jason, if you'd step over here, I'll show you what we found out. Jason, this is a good illustration of how the packing being blown out of the silencer interferes with the airflow through the exhaust system. This line here, the blue line, is the burned out silencer. The green line is the freshly packed silencer, so this is the poorly maintained one. And as you can see, it lost horsepower at every RPM. It has less low end, it makes less peak horsepower, it has less power here in the mid-range, and when you rode this machine on the sand dunes, you would notice a loss in performance. You would definitely feel it. Now I can also show you on the computer how much acceleration you really lost with that. So let me change frames. And we have a mode here where we can actually race the machine. And we're going to start out at basically 26 miles an hour. And so it would be like being in 6th gear and you snap the throttle open at 26 miles an hour and you run it till it tops out. So we're going to start the race right now. Again, the blue line is the burned out silencer. The green line, the upper line, is the one that's been that's properly maintained. As you can see, the machine is starting to pull away pretty dramatically from the very bottom. So if you were going to compare your machine to one that had the silencer burned out, you definitely want to be riding that machine.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for your help, Arlen.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm glad that we got the opportunity to show you that more noise doesn't necessarily mean more horsepower.
All right, you have a nice day.
All right, you ride safe.
I think this will work for him.
I hope so.
Man, that guy knows a lot.
Yeah, he does. Well, I had time to pick out some stuff for you you're going to need. Got your U.S. Forest Service approved silencer that's at 93 dB right now, but keep in mind, like you learned in there, you'll need to repack it frequently. And I also got you a rubber plug to put in the rear of the silencer when you're washing your bike so you don't ruin the packing. Jason, keep in mind, if the manufacturer lists the dB levels on the packaging, it might not meet Oregon's test standards. All right, I think we got you all fixed up.
Thanks a lot.
All right. That's hard.
Would you mind doing me one more favor?
Sure, what's that?
I'd really like to stop by the person's house that was complaining about me being so noisy. I'd really like to apologize.
Well, the rule is we usually don't do that.
Could you call and get permission?
Let me see what I can do.
Hi, Mrs. Smith. I'm Deputy Roberts. We spoke earlier on the phone.
Yes.
Hi, Mrs. Smith. I also got out the dunes making all that noise, and I just came over to apologize.
Well, how very nice of you. You know, there's not many young people that would take time to do that. I've lived here for many years, and the noise doesn't really bother me anymore. But my new neighbor noticed the noise and wanted to complain.
Well, we've been working on the noise issue. We've been stopping people, doing sound checks, writing citations to those who are over, and trying to train the ATV people that they're not the only ones in the area, and there is an issue with the noise.
You know, I don't know what that man was complaining about. Listen to the noise up at his place right now.
Maybe we should test his equipment.
Hiya, Doc.
Excuse me, do you mind if we test your equipment?
Well, sure, if you want to.
Here, Jason, why don't you hold that?
Sounds like it's louder than my bike.
It's pretty loud.
What are you using that meter for?
It tests the dB level and the noise put out by the equipment.
What's a dB level?
dB stands for decibel. Decibel is the term used for measuring sound. You know, if you're exposed to loud sounds for an extended period of time, it can damage your hearing. You know, you and your neighbor should really look at wearing some hearing protection. Thank you very much.
No problem. No problem.
See you later.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Edna. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Deputy.
You're welcome. I got to get back, so you take care.
Thank you, Edna.
You bet.
Well, Deputy, I better get back to camp and tell my friends about what I just learned today.
Well, if you remember everything you learned today, you shouldn't have to worry about seeing me again.
I think I remember.
All right.
Gee, man, where you been? Well, I had to go to town and get a new silencer and pack it. When's the last time you guys packed your guys' silencer? Never. You guys don't understand it. You have to maintain your silencer or we'll get hassled for noise.
Well, can't we do that when we get home?
I don't have any packing with me. We don't need that. Let's go eat. You guys just don't understand.
Welcome, paid for or not. Credit Union Bank and Factory Financing Specialists on duty. Save thousands this weekend on that new or used car, truck, travel trailer, or motorhome. Pony Village Mall, North Bend.
Oh, guys, hey, check it out.
Today, the Interior Department announced its intent to close public lands to off-road recreation.
God, now we can't even ride anymore.
Was cited as noise complaints made against motorized users.
Dude, I can't believe that. This is exactly what I was telling you guys about earlier.
In a later message, the Secretary stated, if users will meet noise level restrictions, the closures will be stopped. And chances for opening more lands to off-road recreation could become a reality.
I race motocross and I don't got time for nothing else. I'm next to Jeremy McGrath. See how fast I can go? I like the power and the competition.
It goes slower. It doesn't have as much horsepower.
They're fun and they're fast. If it's loud, you should repack your silencer. My dad packs my silencer for me.
You can't really get rid of noises. There's no way you're going to be able to get away from them.
I think it's loud when it's really loud. When it's louder, it doesn't make you faster. When my silencer's packed, it'll make more horsepower.
I think motocross helps with get away from that because you really don't have time or you'll never be as good as you want to be if you do drugs or alcohol.
Kids at risk really are at risk probably because the parents aren't involved enough. And motocross is one way that parents can be involved and need to be involved.